Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. If you don't know me, I'm Cheryl Dethridge. I'm one of the care coordinators here at Kendal at Home, and I am incredibly pleased and honored to welcome Mary Cordray. And I realized I hope I'm saying your last name correctly, Mary.
You are.
Wonderful. She is joining us today as a certified Tai Chi instructor to discuss the benefits of Tai Chi, the wonderful world of Tai Chi, and give a demonstration, answer questions. So Mary has been, I might pass the baton over to her. She's been teaching Tai Chi, I think in person and virtually for some time now, a number of different classes. And I would love to introduce you and perhaps ask you to tell us a little bit about yourself, Mary.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for hosting this Zoom meeting. I look forward to meeting some of the Kendal at Home members. How I got involved, I want to start by saying how I got involved with Tai Chi. I have been involved in exercise my whole life. I loved doing exercise classes at different facilities. But as I matured, I don't usually say get older because I am a senior, but as I matured, I needed a knee replacement because of osteoarthritis. And I thought I was in pretty good shape, but I did have some complications. So after the surgery, when I was recovering, I went to it was a choreographed step class, and it was very fast. And I was stepping and moving and dancing with a large group of people. This was pre-pandemic, and I was in Florida. My husband and I were vacationing in Florida, and I realized that I could no longer do that step class because I was very afraid of falling as I was stepping up and stepping down and spinning around. I thought, I'm going to fall. So I stopped the class. I stopped going to the class. And then I looked for other classes that I could maybe do. I did water aerobics and some slower classes exercising. And then I happened upon Tai Chi. And I thought, well, let me try that. I've always wondered about it. So I tried it and I loved it. I just loved it. And then so I went to as many classes as I could in Florida. I went to different styles. I went to different instructors. And then when I came back to Ohio, where I'm from, I couldn't find Tai Chi. It was way on the east side of Cleveland, and I'm in Elyria. So I thought, oh my, what am I going to do? Well, I happened upon a class that was offered here in Elyria, and I went to it. And this was a few years ago. And the instructor there is a master instructor. His name is Mike. And he had about 30 people in his class. And he asked, would anyone like to become an instructor? And mind you, I'd only been doing Tai Chi 3 months or 4 months at the time. And I raised my hand sheepishly and said, well, maybe I could do it. And he got me into a workshop and because there were hardly any Tai Chi instructors out here. Long story short, I became certified, and now I'm certified to teach 5 different types of Tai Chi or Qigong, which is a breathing exercise. And I just love it. I jumped in with both feet, and Tai Chi is fun, easy to learn. I'm certified by the Tai Chi for Health Institute. That's what this emblem is. Dr. Paul Lamb, who is a medical doctor, retired. He lives in Australia. He created this style. He modified the Sun style of Tai Chi with Tai Chi experts and medical doctors to make it easy for people with arthritis and other chronic conditions to learn it. I think it's a really good program. There's been probably over 30 or more scientific studies showing the benefits of Tai Chi, not only for our arthritis and fall prevention, but also for our thinking, for our cognitive abilities. So let me pause because I could go on. I will share more with you about Tai Chi, but are there any questions from the Kendal members that you'd like me to answer?
Well, during this presentation, Mary, I want to say anyone who is watching, our wonderful attendees, you can put questions in the Q&A down below or in the chat box. We'd be more than willing, and I think obviously Mary would be more than willing to answer any questions you have throughout this presentation. We want to make sure that we share the benefits, share any inquiries you have about Tai Chi. So please don't hesitate throughout this whole time. to let us know your questions. Mary, I know that obviously members of Kendal at Home are older adults, and fall prevention is one word that jumped out at me when I'm listening to you now. That has become a concern. Of course, as we get older, it doesn't mean that we have to fall. It doesn't mean that we should start falling. And there's things that we can do to really prevent that. Can you talk a little bit about how Tai Chi would be on the list of things to do if you are concerned about falling and you want to prevent yourself from falling?
Correct. Good. That's a very important thing. One of the things that I see I see a few things when I teach classes with seniors, and I'm a senior myself, is that they look down a lot. Because they're scanning the area to make sure that they're not going to trip on something. But by looking down and making their posture go down, they're setting themselves up for a fall. So one of the benefits of the style of Tai Chi that I teach is we talk about our posture being upright as much as you possibly can. I know there are some medical conditions where it's difficult to stand upright, but as much as you can, your gaze is straight ahead, your shoulders are relaxed, you're straight. The posture is very important, and we stress that. And that is the first step to not falling, is if your gaze is ahead rather than down. The second thing is being aware. In Tai Chi, we become very mindful of our weight transfer. And we step with our heel forward instead of our toe forward. I used to work in an office and I wore high heels, and it automatically pitches me forward. So Tai Chi, it's called Tai Chi walking. And when you walk forward, you step with your heel, and then you feel your foot get flat, and then you transfer your weight. So you become very mindful of your weight transfer. Also, we strengthen our core, which helps with balance. And the movements, a lot of the forms that I teach in the basic 6 moves, it's a lot to do with weight transfer. And when you're transferring your weight from one side of the body to the other, your body gets used to carrying the weight on one side and then gets used to carrying the weight on the other side. So should you stumble and you have to put all your weight on one side, your body is used to that already. You're conditioned and prepared to do that. So, and we don't do anything on the floor. I teach Tai Chi standing or seated. I can teach it if you need to sit down, that's perfectly okay. I have classes where people sit down. I teach classes where people have chronic conditions such as fibromyalgia, one lady had a brain tumor, but it was being monitored, heart conditions, back surgery where they have a lot of trouble walking. From complications from a back surgery, diabetes, they get dizzy. There's just so many things. And but with respect to fall prevention, I would say posture and being aware of how you're transferring your weight and that you're upright when you walk. Those are the 3 things I feel are really important.
Oh, I could not agree more. And even as I'm listening to you, I'm finding I'm improving my own posture. I think most people do that. When you hear of someone say how important posture is and core strength, I'm thinking I should be holding it a little, sitting higher. I wonder, Mary, do you have a comment on when someone who starts taking Tai Chi would start to realize, wow, I am standing taller. I am feeling a little more core strength. Obviously, it might depend on the person, but do you have a recommendation for I guess how often one would take Tai Chi or how soon you would see the benefits?
Well, there are a lot of variables in order to answer that question. It would depend on the person's medical condition. It would depend on how often they practice, how long they practice. Like anything in life, if I want to learn the guitar, unless I'm a prodigy, I can't just pick up the guitar and start playing it. I have to practice, and practice is what causes muscle memory in Tai Chi and where you get the benefit. I mean, for example, if I practice one time, 10 minutes for once a week, and somebody else with the same condition, same age, same medical conditions, if they practice 4 times a week, for 10 to 15 minutes. The one that practices 4 times a week for 10 to 15 minutes is going to see more benefit. I have seen, actually, there's a funny story. We focus on breathing in Tai Chi. There's a lot of relaxing and breathing naturally. And there's one movement I'll show you right now because I can do it seated too. It's called open and close. And your palms are facing, and you inhale and you exhale as you close your hands and open. And it's not a big movement. I'm starting out about the width of my head, and I'm opening to about the width of my shoulders. So I'm not going like this. Well, one lady, I think she's in her 80s, she went to one of the Zoom classes that I taught this year, and it was her first Tai Chi experience, and she liked open and close. She really liked that move. So the next class, it was the second class, she told me, Mary, I have to tell you, her name's Shirley. Shirley said, I got very bad news this week. I received really bad news, and I was so upset, and I could feel myself just being anxious and upset. She said, and then I remembered Tai Chi, and I did about 4 or 6 of these movements, focusing on breathing, focusing on this movement. And she said, I felt so much better. She said, my breathing relaxed, my anxiety subsided. She said, the bad news was still there, but I felt better. And that was one time of Tai Chi. So that was the most impressive one. And I have one person who has Parkinson's, and she's been taking it now, practicing Tai Chi just once or twice a week for probably a few months. And she said she definitely sees a difference in her ability to move with confidence. But so that those are 2 examples, one immediate and the other over a little period of time. And then I have other people that have been practicing a few years, and they get upset if they vacation or go away, and if I don't have a Zoom class for them, they really are eager to get back and practice.
Do you find that some individuals might then take it and practice on it sounds like on their own, maybe 10 minutes a day, take some of the teachings from your classes, and even if they're away on vacation, maybe they do some of them on their own?
Yeah, there was actually a married couple in one of the classes that I taught, and they were going to travel. I think they were traveling in Europe. And so they asked me how could they continue the practice, because they really liked it, and they were very good actually, even though they had never done it before. So I gave them, actually I asked them if they wanted me to order the DVD that Dr. Lamb created. And they said yes. So I ordered it so I could get a discount for them. And they bought the DVD, and I assume they're using, in fact, I know they were using it because they talked to me about some details they noticed in the DVD that I don't think I had shared. So it was very good. And then if somebody's practicing, if they're serious about practicing, I have a YouTube that I can share. It's not of me, but it's another instructor that teaches the exact same forms. One other thing I wanted to mention, I said that I was certified to teach Tai Chi. It's the Tai Chi for Health Institute that gives me the certification. They're based in Australia. And one of the things that I really like about them is that they require that in order for me to be advertised on their website as a certified instructor, every 2 years, I have to go to one of their master instructors. There's one in Toledo, and I have to be retested to make sure that I'm teaching everything properly. And it's a written test, it's pretty long, and it's a demonstration test that I have to do. And then they offer workshops for instructors. And I've gone to their week-long workshops too, which are amazing, but they're only for instructors. So that's what I like about it. It's not just I get a certification, then I'm off and running on my own. That institute that certifies me requires that I come back. They also require that I carry first aid, CPR, first aid, and insurance. They will not let me advertise on their website if I don't do those 3 things.
It sounds it's very extensive, and that you have a good deal of support as
Yes.
once you become
Yes.
certified. That's wonderful.
Yes.
We do have a question from Terry. in the chat box that kind of follows where your information was going here. And she wanted to know how long it could take anyone to become certified. Could you walk us through that initial process?
It depends on the person, actually. Like I said, when I started practicing Tai Chi, and I hadn't been practicing that long, and the master instructor, I was willing to become an instructor, so he really coached me, got me into a workshop. For this particular institute, the Tai Chi for Health Institute, you would probably have to go to a 3-day intense, and I mean it's intense, workshop, and then you would have to pass the written, and the written test is about the principles of Tai Chi and the benefits and a lot of different questions that they go over with you, but you have to know them. And then you have to do demonstration of, if you're going to teach the basic 6 of Tai Chi, and the one I teach, it's called Sun. It's spelled S-U-N, but it's pronounced Sun. How long it would take? I would say you'd have to do the 3-day workshop, and you would have to pass the written and the demonstration test. And you, like Cheryl said, there is a lot of support from the master instructors. Master instructors usually have been teaching 25 to 30 years, and they know multiple styles. A lot of times, many of them have been martial arts teachers or physical education, physical therapy, medical people. When I was vacationing in Tennessee, my husband and I went to Tennessee, I found a master instructor there. They graciously met with me, answered some of my instructor questions, gave me some tips. I mean, it's such a supportive community. If you're interested in becoming an instructor, I definitely would encourage you and facilitate it. The closest place to be tested that I know of here in Ohio is in Toledo. Becky Ra is a master instructor, and she does the testing here in Ohio that I know of. Does that answer your question, Carrie?
I bet it did. Please ask more questions, Terry, if you need any further information. I know Mary would be glad to answer. Would you then, sounds like they have a pretty good website then for you to be able to get information on how to sign up for courses. And she says, thank you. So I think you answered the question.
Good. Yeah, it depends, but I would say you'd have to be past the test, written and demonstration, and they give you workshops, and there's continuing education for the style. Let me talk a little bit about the structure of the class and the class requirements so that our time doesn't get away from us. Perfect. The class requirements are, if you do have a chronic, serious medical condition like a Parkinson's or, excuse me, or actually more than one of the students have had surgeries where they had shoulders replaced, knees replaced. I do ask that they get a clearance from their, it doesn't have to be a written, but that they go to their surgeon and say, I'm going to take Tai Chi, is it okay? And get a clearance from the medical doctor if they have a serious condition. If they don't have any serious conditions, then the only requirement would be that you wear comfortable clothes, flat shoes. I usually ask that you bring some kind of beverage, water or some sports drink or tea, because we like to keep hydrated, especially in the summertime. The class structure is 60 minutes is the time. And the structure is 20 minutes, we exercise warm-ups, just slowly moving, warming up our neck joint, our shoulder, our knees, our hips, just warming up. And then 30 minutes, we actually spend learning the forms, practicing the forms, and repeating the forms so that you become familiar with them. And then 10 minutes, I allow for questions, and we have to do a 3 or 4 form cool down, just cooling down. We focus a lot on breathing. I stress that there's no competition, no hurrying up in Tai Chi, no comparison. We all practice to our own comfort level. And if somebody needs to sit down during the session, that's perfectly okay. I just ask that you have a stationary chair, not a rolling chair, just a stationary chair. And we can even do a class with everyone seated if that's what you like. But I want it to be fun too. I mean, we focus on the forms and the class structure, but there are times when people ask a question and sometimes there's some humor, and that's good. Laughter's good medicine too.
Great. So Mary, you make me think of the different types of class, what you do in classes. So you said you could do the moves seated or standing. Now with COVID, I'm guessing we've shifted to doing in person and virtual. The virtual might not have really existed prior to the past 2 years. Do you teach both in person and virtual?
Yes, I teach a couple on Zoom, and then I teach in North Ridgeville. I teach one class. I was teaching two. I brought it back down to one class at the Safetyville building in North Ridgeville. It's near the Senior Center in North Ridgeville. I teach a class there. It's listed in their program guide. I teach a class in a yoga studio in Vermilion, Amherst Mercy Health, and I teach a class in Elyria at a church. A church has opened up their church building, and I teach a class there. Actually, in January, I'll be teaching 2 classes there because some of the members of the church saw the class and they want to join, so they're joining in January. In the summertime, I love to teach outside, just in nature, but we have to be careful not to wear perfume or to draw bees. We don't want to get stung. So, but I love teaching in nature. It's very peaceful and relaxing. And relaxing is good for your immune system. Tai Chi has been known to build the immune system because you're focusing on breathing, you're relaxing. The breathing calms your mind and relaxes your body, which is really important.
You're making me recall a memory of when I was a child on vacation, and we would go to Delaware, and we'd always get a place on the beach every summer. And I remember when I wake up, going on the porch and seeing my mother down on the sand, on the beach doing Tai Chi. And she would say how peaceful, just hearing nothing but the crashing waves and the birds flying around. And that was her happy place. So I think Tai Chi brought her great peace. Have you ever done it on the beach? It sounds exceptional to me.
And in Florida, when I'm in Florida, there's a lot of Tai Chi in the park. You'll go to parks and you'll see Tai Chi and yoga, and there's a lot there. I don't see too much in Ohio, really, but hopefully that'll change. And also, I wanted to say about how I teach. The format is I show you the form, so you just watch me. And then I break it down into small little steps, and then you follow me. Like Simon says, you just follow me, and then we repeat it, and you follow me again until we learn the form, and then we move on to the next form. Every class, we review the forms from the beginning. So if you miss a class, you don't have to worry. We're going to review it anyway.
This technique sounds like a very relaxing way to learn and a way to just be able to build upon. Because am I correct? Each class, you build upon your skills until you have reached and been able to do all the 6 forms that you teach.
Right,
correct?
right.
Okay.
And there's more forms than 6. 6 is the basic forms in one direction. And then there's 6 of the same forms to the left and to the right. So that's 12 forms to the left and to the right. The form that I showed you, open and close, is repeated a few times because it's such a powerful form. It's very powerful. The other thing I wanted to say, the man who created this program, his name is Dr. Paul Lam, L-A-M. He has severe arthritis since he was young. And he's a medical doctor, retired, but a family practitioner in Australia. He realized at a young age that if he didn't do something about his arthritis and manage the pain, that he was going to have to resort to taking medicines or maybe surgeries. So he wanted to try to delay that route. And so he turned to Tai Chi because he is Chinese, from China, but he lives in Australia now. So he tried Tai Chi, but this was back, oh my gosh, a long time ago. I forget how many years, I think over 40 years ago. And he realized that it took 3 years of practicing intensely with one instructor and he saw some major benefits. So he thought, as a doctor, he thought, how could I bring this to the general public? And hence this program was born. He changed the style, modified it so it's easier for us to learn. Because as Americans, we want things right away. We want it yesterday. We want to see the benefits right away. So he made it easy to learn, fun to learn, but yet you still get the benefits.
Sounds wonderful. Mary, I do have another question. I'm thinking if I were someone that is interested and whether I want to attempt a first class virtual or in person, is there anything I need to do to prepare or bring with me, or specifically wear to make sure that I'm ready to participate in the way that's needed?
That's a very good question. Yes, shoes should be flat and comfortable, flat and comfortable. The other thing is the clothing should just be, when I stand up, you'll see I just have comfortable clothing. A lot of people just wear jeans or sweatpants. That's perfectly okay. What I don't want is open shoe. In the summertime, there was a student that was wearing, it was sort of like flip-flops or a shoe that didn't have a back. And it was not safe for her to practice in that because her heel could slip off of it when we did stepping. So I actually had her take off her shoes and I gave her a mat and she just walked on the mat because I was afraid of her slipping off of that heel. That was not safe. The other thing is I do like that you bring water or some beverage that you can stay hydrated. Even in wintertime, I always bring some type of drink. In the wintertime, I usually have green tea, ginger, and honey. That's what I use, or some just water with lemon. The other thing is to, if you are seated, want to do it seated, the chair must be stationary and your feet must be able to be flat on the floor. So you can't have like a high stool that you can't touch the floor. You have to be able to touch the floor with your feet. But other than that, there is no equipment. You don't have to run out and buy any expensive equipment or expensive clothing. Just be comfortable. And we all practice to our own level. So in quite a few of the classes, some people stand and other people sit. And if I see someone's having trouble with their balance, we have chairs set up when I teach live, we have chairs set up in the room and I encourage them to stand near a chair. So if they need to hold on to a chair for balance, that's good. And there's no penalty for that. There isn't any penalty, just rewards.
It's wonderful. So it sounds like if you were at home, you would definitely want to have a clear space around you to be able to do all of the moves safely, as well as perhaps that chair or near a wall, depending on your need.
We usually just take 3 steps to the right, 3 steps to the left, 3 steps to the right. Sometimes we step, and when I say a small step, I'm talking inches. We'll step one direction or the other. Tai Chi is about efficient movement, not huge movement. So it's an efficient movement, and it's based on nature, actually. Tai Chi is based on nature. Some of the moves, one of the forms is called waving hands in clouds. So it's very peaceful, waving hands in clouds. Repulse monkey. I mean, there's different nature moves. Oops, I just knocked my calendar on my camera.
It happens. It happens to us all.
Yeah, I bumped the table and it knocked my camera down.
You know, you make me think of, Mary, what I've often said, and I think it was my grandmother who used to say, Cheryl, it's amazing what the little things can do, how important just something so small can be. Just like a little movement in Tai Chi, how, or one breath practice can really impact you greatly in a positive way. Right,
it can. Breathing is so important. In Tai Chi, Tai Chi actually means increasing your energy. It's building your energy. And it's based on martial arts. I mean, the original Tai Chi forms, which date back to the 1600s, the original Tai Chi forms were martial arts. And so even the forms that I teach, they are based on nature, but they have a martial arts aspect. And sometimes I tell a little bit about the martial arts because it helps you understand the move or the form. But breathing slowly and doing things slowly is really, really important. So there isn't any jumping jacks or fast movements. And the style of Tai Chi that I teach, the Sun style, is the more modern version of Tai Chi. There are Chen and Yang and different, they're named after the family of the person who created it. That's where they get the name. So Chen and Yang and Wu Ho, and Sun is for Sun, I think it's Yang Tang is the, I better look up his name because I always forget his name. It's three names, but Sun is what they call the style of Tai Chi. But the essential principles for all Tai Chi are the same. The forms will differ, but there's differences in the styles, but the principles of slow movement, posture, and being aware, mindful of your weight transfer and relaxing your body, those principles are the same, and they're very healing.
Mary,
Any other questions?
We did have a question come up a little bit ago, and I do believe I answered it correctly. Norma was curious if you were going to be showing us the 6 moves that you teach, and I did say yes. I do believe that Mary is. I think we have some interest to see what they are.
Well, I'll show you the 6 forms, but it's on both sides, so it'll be 12 movements. But when we learn, sometimes it depends on the class too, and how challenged some people are, because some people really, actually, Dr. Lamb has taught to people in wheelchairs, to people in nursing homes, and bedridden. I haven't taught to people in wheelchairs or bedridden, but I have taught Tai Chi for people who have very chronic conditions. And like I said, I want it to be fun. It's not all, there's no penalty if you make a mistake. I had one lady one time, we were doing a form and she shouted, "Oh, I was on the wrong foot." And I laughed and I thought, that's great. She realized she was on the wrong foot. That's fantastic. So,
see the positives, Mary. I like it.
Yeah, it was great that she realized it. And when we practice outside, we see different nature, birds and bunnies, and that is so fun and relaxing. Everybody loves that. And there's laughter, and especially in one of my classes, they're really into laughter. So that's good because I like that. We want it to be fun, and while we're learning the forms, having fun, we're getting the benefits of the movement. So it's about 11:40 now. I think it only take, what I might do, which I think, what do you think, Cheryl? I'd like to show you the forms now. That way, if someone has questions, they can ask me questions rather than waiting the last 5 minutes.
Sounds perfect to me, Mary. Thank you.
Okay. And I'm going to move to the back of the room because I'd like you to see my whole body. And I wore white shoes, little white slippers, so you could see my feet. Because my floor is dark, and if my socks are dark, you can't see my feet. And what I want you to notice is, number one, that the movements are slow. They're not huge. And I will be going from right to left or left to right. It depends on the camera. I think this is reversed, and it's a mirror image. But it doesn't matter which side you do first, really, just as long as you do both sides. And we take the time to learn this. This is what usually the first class, I only try to teach you 2 forms. That's it for the first class. And the second class, we review the first 2 forms. And if you feel comfortable, we might move on to a 3rd form or just stay with the first 2. And as the weeks progress, you add on. Okay, let me move my chair because I have my chair here. Can everyone see my feet?
I can see your feet. We can see your feet. That's perfect, Mary. Thank you.
Okay, and I usually announce, I'm not gonna say the names of the forms. I'm just gonna do the forms, but sometimes in class, I will say the name of the form so you get familiar. Tai Chi for Arthritis and Fall Prevention, Commencement Movement. I forgot to put my music on. I'm going to turn it on now just so you can hear it. But there's some nice background music I usually play. We'll listen to it during the talk. But as you can see, the moves are very slow. I didn't bend, I didn't sit down, I didn't get on the floor. My favorite one, I love the waving hands. But it's just 6 moves in that direction and 6 moves in this direction, and there's breathing involved. So very often I'll encourage you, when I say open and close, I usually say inhale slowly, exhale slowly. And there is, if you will, a magnet. If you can imagine a magnet in the center of your palms, and you pull and you push, there's a gentle resistance in our movements. So any questions after seeing the 6 basic forms? I think you could do it too, Cheryl.
I'm intrigued. Mary, you mentioned just the magnets in the hands. Do you have other little antidotes, if that might be the right word, for each movement and things to think of? Like I envision maybe even like you're holding a ball in your hand or something like that to help, train your body or your mind to think how your movements would move, how your legs move, how your hands move.
Yes, good question. And yes, I do say the magnet so that you're actually pulling and pushing. So you're actually using a resistance. And as I mentioned, I'm only starting about the width of my head. So it's not like this, and I don't go like this. It's just the shoulders. Now, some of it, there is something, I call it I'll give you a story on the first movement so you can see what I mean. Move my chair. Now, the first movement, I tell a story. So I'll tell you this story as I do the movement, and I'm going to do it on the side so you can see what I'm talking about. The first movement, of course, is called Commencement Movement. And what I do in order to help the students remember the movement, I tell a little Tai Chi story. So I'm going to tell you the Tai Chi story as I do the movement. This is called Commencement. So we slowly raise our arms and offer our Tai Chi ball. We have our hands about this far apart, like you're holding a beach ball or a Tai Chi ball. So you raise your arms, offering your Tai Chi ball to your friend. Your friend doesn't want your ball, so you're going to bring it down towards your body as if you're going to wipe it off on your stomach. And then you step forward and you're raising your hands again to offer your friend a second chance to accept your Tai Chi ball. If they still don't want it, then you go into the second move, which is open and close. So you're offering the Tai Chi ball. They don't want it, so you bring it down to wipe it off on your clothing. You bring it out again to give them a second time Are you sure you don't want my Tai Chi ball? And if they don't want it, you bend your elbows and you take a breath. And that's the first two movements, but we do that over and over again, very aware of how we're transferring our weight. I'm putting my heel, the ball of my foot. The weight now is in my back leg, but I'm transferring it to my front leg. Very mindful of transferring my weight. My body's upright. I'm not bending. And then I bring my other leg even, my other foot even. So I'm stepping, transferring my weight, bringing my other foot, transferring my weight. So you're doing upper body movement and you're doing weight transfer on the first move. Questions?
Yes, Mary, we do have one question that just came in. Can those with joint replacements join in?
I have a knee replacement and I need another one in my left leg, my left knee. But yes, I have people that had both knees replaced. I have shoulder replacements, hip replacements. Definitely all of them are practicing.
Mary, that makes me think, you as a Tai Chi instructor, do you ask then your participants, those who are learning from you, to share that information? Does it benefit you to know, or is that non-essential?
No, I don't. That's a good question, Cheryl. No, I don't ask them to share for privacy reasons. Usually there's more than one person in the class.
Sure.
And some people are very private, and I think it would be against privacy. So no, the answer to the question is no. I've never asked, does anybody have a medical condition? What I do is I share that I have knee replacement, and that sometimes if my left knee, which needs a replacement, my right knee had a replacement, if my left knee is hurting, even as an instructor, I might stand near a chair and hold on.
Mary, your camera got knocked again, my friend.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I bumped the table, I think. So as an instructor in class, if my left knee is really hurting, I may hold on to a chair myself, and there's nothing wrong with that. But as far as medical conditions, I have had people after the class. One gentleman, well, I have one lady who's 90 years old that comes to class. One gentleman who came, he had multiple surgeries, back surgery. He came up after class and shared that with me, but it was just him and his wife and me. So, and then later he started sharing it in the class because he felt comfortable doing that. But I would never point somebody out in class or ask that. If they offer it, that is their freedom to do, but not me to ask. Also, I don't point out mistakes. I never have singled out anybody if they're making a mistake in Tai Chi. What I do, if I feel somebody's doing something that's not safe, then I correct as the whole class. I will say, well, let's do it this way. Let's remember this. But I don't point out, no, Sue, you're doing it this way. Never have I done that, and I don't plan to. I don't think that's kind. I wouldn't want somebody to do that to me.
So would you then recommend, if someone, say after the class, oh, my lower back is really bothering me, it wasn't bothering me prior, perhaps a move needs to be adjusted, would you recommend, please come to me, talk to me after class, or send me a message to share that information? Because obviously Tai Chi you shouldn't be feeling good and positive and have benefits after, not any aches and pains after the class.
Well, what I do ask is, if because of COVID, if someone doesn't feel well, I have had students, because I share my email and my cell number, and they will text me and say, you know, I don't feel well today. I ache, I have a cold. I say, please stay at home and rest. I don't want them to come just in case they do have COVID. I don't want them, plus I want them to rest. But as far as aches and pains, during the class, some people will say, my knee is bothering me, my shoulders bother me. And I say, well, have a seat, you know, relax, sit down. There's nothing wrong with that. I've had people tell me they have to leave early. That's fine. We do a respectful greeting and a respectful closure. They just what we call bow out respectively, and then they leave the class if they have to leave early. There's nothing, you know, against that. But everybody, and I stress this many times, everybody practices to their own comfort level. For example, if I'm asking them to raise their arms to their shoulder height, and they have they need a shoulder replacement, or they have shoulder pain, then I say, wherever you start to hurt, that's where you stop. You respect what your body's saying. And if it starts to hurt and you've only raised it a little bit, then stop right there. But in your mind, imagine that you're raising it the whole way. There is a benefit to using our mind to imagine the full range, even though we stopped moving. The athletes do it. They imagine that they've won the gold, they finished the race, they've made the basket. There is a benefit to the mind and body connection. And I talk about that in class.
Wonderful.
So yeah,
I've always said things.
They
your
should
mind
stop
needs,
any movement that hurts, Cheryl.
Yes.
Good question.
Okay, good, great. I did want to ask, you talk about learning all of the movements, actually 12 total, I guess, if you do left and right.
There's more than 12, but I start out with 6 and then move to 12, and there's like 20 something.
Yes. And how they build.
No, yeah, you build.
Okay. So would you recommend, if someone were interested, they would sign up, say, for a 6-week course in order to learn the progression in one motion at a time, and then to be able to do at least all 6 at the end of those classes?
Yeah, and yes, in answer to your question, yes, they should sign up for a series. And if they don't like it, and Tai Chi is not for everyone. My husband, he tried it and he doesn't like it because he's a pickleball maniac. He just plays pickleball intensely, but Tai Chi was too slow for him. He just didn't like it. So I suggest they sign up for the series and really try to learn the movements and focus. And if they don't like Tai Chi, that's okay. There's other forms. This is really for those that want to help with pain management of arthritis, fall prevention, building their core and their strength, preventing falls. But there's no, and in fact, if some people have difficult times with certain moves, the waving hands in clouds, you're moving your feet and your hands. Sometimes I'll do 2 or 3 classes just on that one move, and I'll break it down and we'll just learn the steps of the feet. And then we'll learn the hand movements. And then we'll put the feet and the hand movements together. Because it's like patting your stomach and rubbing your stomach and patting your head. That's not easy. We're using both sides of our brain when we're going in different directions and doing 2 different body movements. And that all is good.
The more I listen to you speak of this, the more I see how it would take time to learn the breathing, the foot motions, the hand motions, and and how it builds.
And you need to be patient with yourself. I know when I first was in an instructor's class and I was getting impatient with myself because there was this move called brush knee and I just was not getting this move. And I was in an instructor's class with a master teacher teaching, I think there was probably about 20 because it was pre-COVID. There was probably about 20 people there of different levels. Myself and this other lady were new, and then a lot of the people were there for retesting. But I couldn't get this move, and at the end of the move, I just threw my hands down, and the master instructor said, Mary, she came over and whispered in my ear, she said, never throw your hands down, never get frustrated with yourself, be patient. So it takes a lot of patience to learn it, but I tell you, and you've got to focus because it starts in your mind with your intention, then it goes to your feet, you're rooted into the earth, and then the movement comes from the core of the body. But it takes a lot of focus and patience. But once you learn the moves, it's just so relaxing. I love it. I do it every day.
Mary, we have a question came in from Barbara who is asking to please review options for those of members of Kendal who are watching that are not in Northern Ohio. In other words, virtual classes. What options would be available to those not local to here?
I would say Zoom classes. And if you want, there's a website, Tai Chi for Health. Let me see if I can hold up something. They could copy this down and go to this website. They can order a DVD. There's online classes. So let me see if I can hold it up and it'll come through.
Mary, I could type it in the chat box. It's Tai Chi,
Okay,
Tai Chi for Health?
No, If they want to order a product like a DVD, it's called Tai Chi Production. So it's www.taichi, it's all lowercase, TAICHI, and then the word productions.com. Now, when you go there, that's where you order things. You can order DVDs, you can order online. Now, if you order DVDs, let me tell you, I'm going to show you something. This one is the style that I teach, but without the number 2. Do not order the one with the number 2. Order the same looking DVD, but not the number 2. The number 2 is the advanced forms. So they're going to be forms that are much more challenging, but Tai Chi, the red case with a picture of Dr. Lamb, he's the one that created the program. The DVD, I think the beginning red DVD is, I think it's like $29 plus shipping. There's a blue DVD that's Tai Chi for beginners. I've never done that one, but it's for beginners, and it's a blue case. But this one is more advanced. There are tons of them. There's also online courses. And Dr. Lamb is the one that actually teaches these, and they're really good, really, really good. So I would recommend that. You could look on the website. If you live in a different state, go to, here's another website. It's www.taichi4health.institute. All one word, 4healthinstitute.org. And there's a drop-down box, find an instructor. So you'd have to do the drop-down box, find an instructor, and then you have to say what country, because this is in United Kingdom, Australia, United States. So there's different countries. So you have to choose the United States, and then you choose your state and your town, and it'll tell you if there's a certified instructor near you.
Mary, that was actually how we found our connection. I found your name in this exact same way. So I can vouch that it does work. You can find that information on the website.
Well, you know what? I got contacted because I was listed on the website. I was contacted by the Office on Aging about this course, and it's actually promoted by the Arthritis Foundation and the Center for Disease Control. All of them recommend Tai Chi. But remember, I would not suggest, one thing I won't suggest is just going on Google and searching Tai Chi, because some people, you have to look at the source. And some people could say they're doing Tai Chi, but they're doing movements like this. And that's not Tai Chi. It's not huge movements. There's a certain style, Chen, where they do like a leg snap, but then it goes back into the slow movement. So you have to figure out what the source is, because there's a lot of different styles of Tai Chi and people claiming to be Tai Chi instructors that may or may not be that good, just like anything in life. You have good plumbers, good auto mechanics, and then you have some that are not so good.
Mary, thank you. That's great advice. I think especially for members of Kendal at Home who are older adults, and they might be very concerned about arthritis or other health conditions. So they would really need a specific maybe type of Tai Chi like the Sun style, and they'd want to have someone who really is versed in Tai Chi and educated and knows how to properly perform the movement, so you don't injure yourself while you're doing them.
Right, right. And if you want to, Cheryl, if you want to post my email, you're welcome to, or my cell number. If they have questions or something, they're welcome. And then if there is anyone that want to register, they register through you. And I think our time is up.
I think so. While I put here in the chat box, I will put in Mary's email address here, which I believe.
Oh, no, we still have 4 minutes, right?
You know what we do? Well, I was going to say, if there's any other questions, we do have a few more minutes, but Tai Chi Mary C20, if I'm correct, Mary.
Yes.
What you and I have been emailing, I will share it with our friends here, so they have it. Thank you so much, Mary. This has been very educational, and I'm sure you are helping. I know that there are members interested online today listening, and we also do tape this. So we will be putting it on our YouTube page for other members who unfortunately might not have been able to join in live today. They can go back and watch this and get educated on Tai Chi and meet you. And this has been delightful. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you for hosting. Thank you for hosting it and for searching out Tai Chi for your members.